Well, would you look at that? Another Flume video from another producer, right? Wrong. This is more than just another music production video. This transcends everything we know about music production itself. And you know why? Because I'm running out of ideas to grab your attention in the beginning of these videos. There, I said it. I'm not proud of it, but this is the reality, okay? And I'm a man of my word. I once told myself, mentally, that I was gonna teach you guys how to use granular synthesis. And I'm probably gonna do that this video, okay? So you'll just have to watch and find out. Oh, and that's not all. I also just finished and released my Future Bass Essentials Volume 2 sample pack. When I say this pack is ridiculously bigger than the first pack, I mean it. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because most of the samples used in this video are actually from my new pack. It has over 170 drum and effect samples that really make almost any track sound professional. And to prove that, I included 5 FL Studio projects to showcase how the samples can be used in almost any genre, not just Future Bass, as well as a folder with 20 different MIDI files. And I've also included 90 Serum and Sylenth presets just for you guys. Plus, for the holidays, I'll be putting this pack on sale for 50% off for the next week only, so make sure to grab it while you can. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. Granular synthesis. For those who aren't aware, most of Flume's tracks incorporate a production synthesis known as granulization, which is what helps create that random and hectic tone to most of his songs. Essentially, granular synthesis is a basic sound synthesis that operates on a microsound timescale. It's based on the same principle as sampling, but isn't played back conventionally like a normal sample from left to right, but rather broken up into smaller fragments called grains, which are played back essentially at random using different parameters of speed, pitch, length, and volume. To understand it better, I'll show you guys an example. If I were to take a random sample of me singing 4 different vowel sounds, ah, e, u, and and played it back like a normal sample, you would hear each of the vowels played consecutively and in order, like so. E, u, ah. However, if we were to load up a granulizer, say for example Fruity Granulizer, then we could edit some of the parameters such as attack, grain spacing, wave spacing, panning, and finally the most important step, randomness. Now we can hit any note on our keyboard and you'll hear how it plays back the sample. As you can hear, at seemingly random intervals, all 4 of the vowels play at once in a rapidly changing order. You can also play different notes to make your melodies and chords more interesting. As you can imagine, with the right samples, this can create some really interesting soundscapes that resemble the unique sound of Flume. For the actual structure of the track, start by setting the project to 136 BPM. In his track 7.1M3, he has a distorted kick drum using Ableton's beat repeat, so I tried something like that, but obviously adding some granular synthesis into it. I also added an impact from my pack. You'll be seeing that trend a lot in this video. I took the first part of the drop vocal and faded it in with some reverb for some foreshadowing. I did the same thing to the verse synth. Here's a cool granular effect as well. So I processed the sample a little bit, but I'll let you guys decide whether this is pouring rain or bacon sizzling on a pan. Some crispy vinyl. Just for some ambience, I added this background lead thing. In place of a build-up, I added this upsweep for some tension before the drop. Here's a pretty cool idea you guys can try. Take the sound of a spacebar being pressed and play it before the drop. It'll give a cool effect like you're actually playing the drop. To start off the drop, I took a distorted lead and made a melody. This will be the melody that we structure our granular synthesis lead around in a bit. For the first part of the melody, I used a couple different vocals playing in different formants as well as stretching the first sample towards the end. To create some variation and to segue into the B part of the drop, I took this pitched down vocal and distorted it with some panning effects. For the B part, I applied a similar pitched down effect and made some glitches to make it seem more random. And for the last part of the melody, I wanted to switch things up by using just a plain vocal one-shot, but heavily processing it with some OTT and leaving it mostly dry on the reverb. Here's what the full vocal melody ended up sounding like. In the drop, I added some random granular fills with some panning effects for transitions. Here's a pretty cool respace method that I found. First, start by getting a detuned saw wave and playing it in a lower octave. Then low pass the bass and add a bunch of distortion afterwards. If you're familiar with the way distortion works, then you'll know that this creates a lot of new higher harmonics based off of the now detuned low end. And then finally add another low pass filter on post to get rid of some of the artifacts in the sound. I also layered the respace with an 808 from my pack to really thicken the low end. Again, for the beat part of the drop, I added some deep brass stabs. I also added some really soft background saws with as few notes as possible to emphasize the lead and the bass combination. Here's a quick tip. Add some side-chained white noise to the beat part to create energy and keep the track moving. Don't forget the layers. For the drums, I started with a distorted punch kick, and layered it with a mid-range kick for texture. Flume typically makes unique rhythms and manipulates samples in a specific way, so I put these tonal claps in and changed their lengths as well as adding a bit of distortion. The way you do this is by normalizing the sample and then changing the in value, which pushes the transient towards the middle of the sample, making it less punchy. Here's a sweep snare with a nice mid-range punch to it, and a trappy snare for some high-end texture. For the second half of the drop, I added some variation with cymbals like in his song Rushing Back. Now all that's left is pretty much adding some unique granular samples to the background to emphasize the controlled randomness of the drop. Also add a couple regular fills here and there. Now with everything together, let's hear this banger that I definitely didn't steal off of Flume's personal laptop. Hey bro, what's up? Did you maybe hit that subscribe button and maybe the notification bell as well? Oh, you're doing that right now? No way, man. You're also buying my packs for my website? Oh, dang bro, that's crazy. You're a real homie. Keep it up, man. Take care.